Is it Chinua Achebe who said that an old woman is always uneasy when dry bones are mentioned in a proverb? What do you see happening? At the mention of coup, we are jittery, we are 65 years, we have an enviable democracy. What's wrong with us?
Thank you for having me and thank you for the question. Yes, I think our reaction to some of these pronouncements about the possibility of a coup is somehow exaggerated and there's some sort of overreaction. But at the same time, we also need to look at the other side of the fence. So addressing the first point about the overreaction, I think that for me, a coup is not or shouldn't be part of our political governance system. And it is clear from the Afrobarometer survey and other surveys that have been done that certainly Ghana in particular is not a coup-prone zone or a place where people would want to take coup seriously. So
you have said on this show that this democracy is a sham.
Yes, I'm coming to that. And so it comes down to what kind of democracy we are having and the kind of indicators that we should have to say that the democracy has degraded to such an extent that we don't have any other option but a coup. And so certainly the democratic structure that we have here is indeed a sham, and I repeat that. And what we have is a form of legalized predation. In other words, we make the laws that will allow for stealing and plunder of resources. And anytime this thing happens, we resort to the law. So long as we follow the law, then we are covered. And so that is one weak issue with democracy, the kind of democracy we have in the country. But I don't think that conditions have deteriorated to the extent that a coup will solve our problem. I've already mentioned that I'm not in favor of coups. As a human rights person, I think that coup shouldn't come into the picture. However, there are situations where a coup may be justified, and I gave four grounds for that. First of all, the means of change of government through peaceful means and through the ballot box is completely closed. And so there's refusal to change government, and there is no opportunity for the citizens to change government through peaceful means. That is one. Second, there are serious human rights violations that are being perpetrated by the government with the support of some security agencies which are aligned specifically to the government. Three, the instability is brewing as a result of these two earlier factors I mentioned. And four, the international community, whether it is the UN, the AU, ECOWAS, and so on, are not doing their job well to be able to control the situation and ensure that there is change in the way democracy is being run in those countries. In such a situation, then the military may come in to change the government, but not take over the reins of government, but return to the barracks. So the military are on the side of the people, and therefore they see themselves as defenders of the constitution. They do that, they return to barracks. That is the only situation where I will support a coup d'etat. And looking at the indicators for Ghana, I don't think we are there. We are not there at all. Every 4 years, you have the opportunity to go to the polls and change governments. And we have been able to change governments on a regular basis, at least on an 8-year basis after 2 terms by two of the big political parties. So we are not there in that respect. Human rights generally have been respected, and we don't have that kind of instability you may talk about. And Ghana also plays a major role in the AU, ECOWAS, and so on. So I don't think that the indicators tick for us to say that there's a need for a coup d'etat. Having said that,
all right.
The other side of the question is that the coup language is becoming very loud. in the country, in Africa in particular. And we have situations where coup d'etat have actually happened, and the people have gone to hail the coup d'etat. But the question is, were those indicators present? For example, did the soldiers side the people and therefore return to barracks? No. And so it makes the whole coup d'etat thing very dubious and suspicious, as have taken place in Mali, Burkina Faso, and so on. The soldiers will say it is because of insecurity. At least that is a song that have been sung in Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea, and so on. But in the end, what do? They go for Wagner, that is that Russia army contractor group, to provide security for them. And so it creates a scenario where you have mercenarism coming back into the picture as a means of unconstitutional change in government. And that is very worrying, because right now, if you look at the international order or the world order, it is changing with Russia invading Ukraine, because Russia was trying to, or has been trying to, assert its presence in Africa. So far, Wagner is in about 10 African countries: Central African Republic, Mozambique, Mali, Niger, and other places. So, and they are representing Russia. And if we go back into history, the USSR have not helped in making, creating peace in the country, on the continent. When there was this rivalry between the East and the West, and Africans were left in the middle as pawns that were played like in a chess game. And in the end, respect for democracy became very low. And therefore, coup d'etat became a means of changing government, until later mercenarism also came into the picture and so on. So that is where my worry is. My worry is not the fact that the economic indicators are not good in the country and it could be a basis for a coup.
Right.
But the fact that coming from outside, when there's a coup d'etat, the coup makers are very likely to get support from outside. And the Wagner group is known for protecting regimes and suppressing dissent. And that is where the worry should be located.
Now, wearing your legal lenses, you say this coup thing is exaggerated or over-exaggerated. So what does the law say about it?
Sorry.
Do you agree with...
I think there's a freeze.
Yes, I think you are back.
Yes.
Do you agree with Dr. Arthur Kennedy when he says that we seem to be breaching people's right to speech, freedom of expression, in the manner we as a state are approaching the mention of the word coup? What is coup? What does the Constitution say about it? What does our criminal law say about it? Is it that simple that once you make, like Dr. Kennedy says, nobody announces that they are going to have a coup? Once you make such a pronouncement, then you have infracted the law?
Yes. First of all, I think the country's laws respect freedom of expression. We have signed various international human rights treaties that also call for respect for freedom of expression. But we also know that there's a limit to the enjoyment of the right to freedom of expression, subject to public security and so on. And so we need to find the balance between what you can say and what you cannot say, where you can say it, and under what circumstances you can say it. I think that there is that kind of fear. I don't know whether it is because of our political history, partly so, because definitely the records on coup d'etat and the impact it had on the socioeconomic life, religious life, and so on of the people are very bad. So we don't want to go back there. And there's also the concern that as coup d'etat are springing up around us, that may also trigger or instigate soldiers to pick up arms and go and fight. But it's not as easy as that, or it's not as simple as that. I think that we should be measured in what we say, so that hysteria and that concern will not be created. But those who speak are within the bounds of the law. When we are talking about coup d'etat in the country, the law is clear, the constitution is clear that we will not change government through a coup d'etat. And the only way that probably a coup d'etat will be justified is where there is another coup d'etat to overthrow a coup d'etat that has taken place. Because the constitution says any measure that we take to restore the constitutional order will be respected, and even people will be rewarded for that.
Right.
Yeah.
You are referring to Article 3. Article 3, Clause 2 of the Constitution. Maybe you should just go to Clause 3. It says, any person who, by himself or in concert with others, by any violent or other unlawful means, suspends or overthrows or abrogates this Constitution, or any part of it, or attempts to do any such act, or aids and abets in any manner any person referred to in paragraph A of this clause, commits the offense of high treason, and shall, upon conviction, be sentenced to suffer death. Is that what is meant by coup?
Yes, according to the Ghanaian Constitution, the 1992 Constitution.
Okay. And then in Article 19, Clause 17, which is repeated in our Criminal and Other Offences Act, says that subject to Clause 18 of this article, treason shall consist only, A, in levying war against Ghana, or assisting any state, person, or inciting or conspiring with other person, any person, to levy war against Ghana, or in attempting by force of arms or other violent means to overthrow the organs of government established by or under this Constitution, or in taking part or being concerned in or inciting or conspiring with any person to make or take part or be concerned in any such attempt. Is that what this Constitution also means by a coup?
Yes, I'll agree with you on that.
An act which aims at procuring by constitutional means an alteration of the law or the policies of government shall not be considered as an act calculated to overthrow the organs of government. Of course, there is another provision similar. So if you take these provisions, what would you say are the limitations?
Limitations in what sense, please?
In the conduct that gets people in trouble for the use of the word coup.
Oh, okay. I think that merely using the word coup or making some analysis and concluding that there's a possibility of a coup should not fall into the realm of instigating an overthrow of the government. It should certainly go beyond that. Of course, in criminal law, when we are dealing with a treason case, it comes down to not just the actual act, but if there is abetment or some form of related act, you can be caught in the web. But having said that, if you look at Professor Tuguba's comments and the speech he gave, I don't think it falls to that level where you can say that he's preparing to cause a coup d'etat. He is expressing his view on a subject matter and relating that to the possibility of a coup. And if you look at our political history, that has happened before, okay? But we are saying that in this time and age, after having 30 years of democracy, we don't think those indicators are there yet. Of course, he is right on talking about the economic circumstances that we live in. People are really struggling to make ends meet. But has it reached the threshold where people feel so marginalized, people so feel disenfranchised, and that situation has been taken advantage of by the military or some other force to say that we're using as a basis to cause instability or cause a coup d'etat. I don't think we are there yet. So
yeah.
it is
by the reading of the law, coup is not exactly a speech offense, but
yes.
when the law says inciting, if you are inciting, to suggest that the country could be ripe, may be ripe for, because of these indicators, can that not amount to suggesting, as we have heard some say, suggesting to the military that you should come in?
I don't think so. If you look at, for example, one of the communiques or statements issued by Occupy Ghana at the end of last year, with reference to the hula baloo that happened in Parliament, they also mentioned coup d'etat, that if there's a coup d'etat, parliamentarians should first know that the first order that will be disrupted is Parliament. Parliament will no more exist, and so they should be careful how they behave themselves in Parliament. And so, are we saying that we're going to hold Occupy Ghana accountable for that statement, or are we saying that they are inciting?
Is that not completely different from the present case?
I don't see much difference between the two, because indirectly they were also saying that if Parliament doesn't behave, there could be a coup d'etat. So if we look at
apart from incitement, the law says if you are being concerned in, what does that mean? So that I don't get myself into trouble for using the word coup. It could mean that I'm concerned in. Is that it?
Yes, certainly we can be concerned about something. And I'm sure people are concerned about the current democratic order and the way it is being run in the country. So I don't think that should be a basis for the law to come down on us and say that we are concerned, so that is a problem. But there should be other factors in that should add up to that. And the preparation and having identified a particular group that the message is targeted, and then we see some instability brewing around, then we can say that the indicators are coming together for the law to say that, yes, we have a situation where this person is trying to instigate a coup d'etat. But I don't think that we are there yet. So there's the need to not to worry or get overly hyped. And I think rather it is the government and the reaction of government in particular that is causing this coup thing to be blown out of proportion, because the more government officials talk about it, it shows that there is some sort of concern or something to worry about, and therefore people also begin to react that way, and it instigates the foot soldiers and others, the serial callers and so on, to come in and also make such pronouncements without really having the basis for it. And that, to me, is a bigger worry. When somebody makes a statement, we review it carefully. It doesn't amount to a serious infringement of the law, and it's within the bounds of academic freedom of expression. We should just let it pass. Or if you give a comment at all, not in a manner that we politicize it, and therefore people sitting.
Let me ask.